Walking away is not an act of aggression. It is an act of profound self-respect that most men lack the discipline to execute. When a high-value man decides to remove his presence from a woman's life, he isn't just ending a conversation. He is fundamentally altering the psychological fabric of her reality. You see, most men are conditioned to believe that persistence is the ultimate virtue. They think that by staying, by compromising, and by constantly offering themselves up for negotiation, they are demonstrating strength. In reality, they are demonstrating a lack of options and a deficit of internal worth. A high-value man understands a truth that is as old as human nature itself. Availability is the enemy of value. When you are always there, regardless of how you are treated or how little investment is returned, you become part of the background noise of her life. You are like oxygen. Essential, perhaps, but entirely ignored because your presence is guaranteed. The moment you walk away, you cease to be background noise. You become a vacuum. That vacuum creates a pressure that she was never prepared to handle. And today, I'm going to explain exactly why this move is the most powerful tool in your psychological arsenal. We are going to look past the surface-level drama and dive deep into the silent shifts that occur when a woman realizes that the man she took for granted is truly, finally, gone. This is not about manipulation or games. This is about the cold, hard reality of human attraction and the inevitable power shift that happens when a man chooses himself over a situationship that no longer honors him. The first thing that happens is the shock of the sudden void. Human beings are creatures of habit, and women, in particular, are highly sensitive to changes in emotional investment. Whether it was a daily text, a weekly visit, or just the general knowledge that you were a button press away, you occupied a specific amount of real estate in her mind. When you walk away, you don't just leave her life. You leave a hole in her routine. This silence is the most communicative thing you have ever offered her. While you were present, your words were often discounted because they were expected. But in your absence, the silence becomes deafening. It forces her to confront the reality of her own behavior without the buffer of your constant reassurance. Most men fear silence because they think it leads to being forgotten. The high-value man knows that silence is where the most intense reflection happens. It is in the quiet moments between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. that she begins to replay the history of your connection, not through the lens of her own ego, but through the lens of loss. This loss of control is the second major psychological hurdle she faces. Throughout the duration of your pursuit or your involvement, she likely held the majority of the leverage. She could decide when to respond, when to see you, and how much of herself to give. By walking away, you take the remote control of the relationship and you smash it. You are no longer reacting to her pace. You have set your own. And that pace is headed in the opposite direction. This creates a state of internal panic. It is a quiet, simmering panic that she will never admit to you. But it is there. She starts to wonder if she pushed too hard, if she was too distant, or if she simply wasn't enough to keep a man of your caliber interested. This doubt is essential because it strips away the unearned confidence she had while you were chasing her. A woman's confidence in a romantic dynamic is often bolstered by the level of attention she receives. When that attention is abruptly withdrawn by a man she actually respected, her self-perception takes a massive hit. She begins to realize that her power was not inherent. It was granted to her by your willingness to pursue. Without your pursuit, she has to face the reality of her own value on the open market. And often, she realizes that she let a rare asset slip through her fingers. As the days turn into weeks, the psychological phenomenon of comparison begins to take hold. This is where your value is truly solidified in her mind. She will naturally try to fill the void you left with other men, other distractions, or other sources of validation. But here's the catch. A high-value man is not easily replaced. When she talks to other men who are desperate, who are easy to manipulate, or who lack the backbone to walk away when they are disrespected, she will find herself constantly measuring them against the standard you set. Every time a new man fails to meet your level of stoicism, your level of competence, or your level of self-respect, your stock rises in her mind. You are no longer just a guy she used to know. You become the benchmark. You become the one who got away. Not because you were perfect, but because you were the only one who had the dignity to leave when the terms were no longer favorable. This comparison is a form of mental torture for a woman who realized too late what she had. She starts to see the things she ignored before. your reliability, your strength, the way you handled yourself with poise. All of these things were invisible when you were always available. Now, they are the only things she can see. She begins to curate a version of you in her head that is even better than the reality. And this is because human psychology is designed to idealize that which is no longer attainable. This leads us to the stage of private monitoring. Even if she is posting pictures of herself looking happy, even if she is out with her friends acting like she hasn't a care in the world, she is watching. She is checking your social media, asking mutual friends about you, and looking for any sign that you are hurting. If you remain stoic, if you continue to build your life, and if you show absolutely no signs of distress, it drives her to a level of obsession that she didn't think she was capable of. Your indifference is a direct challenge to her ego. It tells her that she was not the center of your universe, and for a woman who is used to being the priority, this is a bitter pill to swallow. She wants to see you break because your breaking would validate her power. When you don't break, you prove that your value was internal and never dependent on her approval. This is the moment the power shift becomes permanent. You have successfully redefined yourself from a subordinate seeker of her attention to a sovereign man who is the master of his own destiny. At this point, the possibility of her reaching out becomes very high. But as a high-value man, you must understand the nature of the reach-out. It is often not born out of love, but out of a desire to reclaim the control she lost. She might send a breadcrumbing text, a thinking of you message, or an accidental like on an old photo. These are tests. She is fishing to see if the door is still ajar. If you rush back in, you immediately lose all the value you built during your absence. You prove that you were just playing a game, and the moment she sees she can have you back, she will treat you with the same indifference that caused you to walk away in the first place. True power lies in the ability to stay gone. It lies in the understanding that some bridges are worth burning because they lead to territories where you are no longer respected. You must realize that your life is a finite resource. Every minute you spend thinking about a woman who didn't value you is a minute you aren't spending building your empire, honing your craft, or connecting with people who actually recognize your worth. The psychological aftermath of walking away is as much about your own transformation as it is about hers. By leaving, you are training your own brain to prioritize your well-being over external validation. You are building the muscle of independence. You are learning that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with the man in the mirror. When that man is satisfied, when that man is proud of his own conduct, the opinions and actions of others become secondary. This is the definition of high value. It is not about how much money you have or how many women you can attract. It is about the strength of your character and your refusal to settle for less than you deserve. As you move forward, you will notice that the world responds to you differently. People can sense the aura of a man who is willing to walk away. It makes them more careful with your time, more respectful of your boundaries, and more appreciative of your presence. You become a scarce resource, and in the economy of human interaction, scarcity is wealth. So, if you are currently in a situation where you are being undervalued, where your efforts are being met with lukewarm energy, or where you feel like you are losing yourself in the pursuit of someone else, I want you to remember the power of the walk away. Do not announce it. Do not make a scene. Do not write a long paragraph explaining your feelings. Just disappear. Remove your attention, remove your effort, and remove your presence. Let the silence do the work. Let the vacuum of your absence create the clarity that your words never could. Whether she realizes what she lost or not is ultimately irrelevant to your journey. The victory is in the fact that you had the courage to leave. The victory is in the reclamation of your own spirit. You are the architect of your own value, and the moment you stop asking for permission to be respected is the moment you truly become a man of power. This is the unfiltered truth. Most people will tell you to try harder, to communicate more, to be more vulnerable. I am telling you that sometimes the most vulnerable thing you can do is to admit that you are in the wrong place and have the strength to leave it behind. Your future self will thank you for the boundaries you set today. The women who come after her will benefit from the man you became because you had the discipline to walk away from what was no longer serving you. This is how you win. Not by conquering others, but by mastering yourself and your own reactions to the world. The shift in power is not just a change in a relationship dynamic, it is the birth of a new version of you. A version that is unshakable, centered, and fully aware of the price of his presence. Never forget that your attention is a gift, not a right. If it is not being treated as such, take it back. The world is full of opportunities for a man who knows how to say no and mean it. The silence you leave behind isn't empty. It's full of the strength you finally found to move on. Every step you take away from a toxic or low-value situation is a step toward the life you were meant to lead. It is a step toward a woman who won't require you to walk away to see your worth. But until you meet her, be the man who is comfortable enough in his own skin to stand alone. The panic she feels, the comparisons she makes, and the regret she carries are merely the natural consequences of her own choices. You are not responsible for her emotional processing. You are only responsible for your own integrity. Keep your head high, keep your eyes on the horizon, and never look back with anything other than the cold realization that you did what was necessary. This is the path of the high-value man. It is a lonely path at times, but it is the only one that leads to true freedom and the ultimate respect of those who are lucky enough to walk beside you. Your value is not a negotiation. It is a fact, and when that fact is ignored, the only logical response is a quiet, dignified departure. The power of the walkaway is the power to choose your own reality. It is the power to say that your time is worth more than someone's indecision. It is the power to define your own worth without needing a witness. In the end, the woman who watched you walk away will remember you not for the things you said, but for the way you left, with your dignity intact and your value higher than the day you met her. That is the lasting impression of a high-value man. That is the psychological shift that changes everything. And once you experience it, once you see the reality of how people react to your absence, you will never beg for attention again. You will understand that the most potent move you have is the one where you simply turn around and walk toward the life you deserve, leaving the noise and the disrespect in the dust where they belong. The weight of your absence will always be heavier than the weight of your pursuit ever was. This is the law of human nature, and it is a law that works in your favor the moment you decide to honor yourself. The journey of self-mastery begins with the realization that you are the most valuable asset in your life. Protect that asset at all costs. Do not let it be depreciated by people who do not have the vision to see it. When you walk away, you aren't losing anything. You are simply making room for everything that is actually meant for you. The silence is your ally. The panic is her teacher. And your newfound worth is the ultimate prize. Stay stoic, stay focused, and remember that the man who can walk away is the man who can never be truly defeated. His power comes from within, and it is a power that the world can neither give nor take away. It is yours to keep, as long as you have the courage to stand by your own standards. Let this be the final word on the matter. Your value is established the moment you stop letting others determine it. The walkaway is the final seal on that contract of self-worth. It is the most honest thing you can do for yourself and for her. It ends the cycle of mediocrity and starts the cycle of excellence. Embrace the silence, trust the process, and watch as the world adjusts to the man you have become. You are no longer a passenger in your own life. You are the driver, and you have decided that the current destination is no longer worth the fuel. That is the ultimate high-value move. It is the move of a man who knows that he is the prize, and he is no longer willing to be treated as a runner-up. The psychological impact will ripple through her life for years, but by then, you will be so far ahead that you won't even notice the waves. This is the transition from a boy who needs to a man who chooses. And a man who chooses is the most powerful being in the room. Always. Your silence is a shield, your distance is a filter, and your self-respect is a magnet for the right kind of energy. The aftermath of your departure is a landscape of lessons she must learn alone, while you build a better world for yourself. Never second-guess the decision to leave a table where respect is no longer being served. It is the smartest investment you will ever make. The return on that investment is a life of peace, a mind of clarity, and a heart that is no longer held hostage by the whims of others. You have the keys to the kingdom. Use them. Walk away when necessary and never look back. The man you are becoming is waiting for you on the other side of that door. Go meet him. He is the one who finally understood that his presence was a privilege, and he finally started acting like it. That is the core truth of the high-value male. It is a truth that requires no validation, no explanation, and no apology. It just is. And as you walk away, you embody that truth in its purest form. The silence you leave behind is the sound of a man who finally knows who he is. And that, more than anything else, is what she will never be able to forget. The power of your absence is the ultimate testament to the strength of your character. It is the silent roar of a lion who no longer needs to hunt for scraps. It is the peace of a king who knows his borders are secure. It is the definitive end of the old you, and the glorious beginning of the high-value man. Trust in that strength. Lean into that silence, and know that by walking away, you have already won the only battle that ever truly mattered. The one for your own soul. The psychology of this shift is undeniable, and the results are inevitable. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, and the man who walks away with his head held high. That is your legacy. That is your power. And that is why silence will always be your greatest weapon in the game of life and love. The world belongs to the man who can stand alone and be satisfied. Be that man. The rest will follow in due time, but you won't be waiting for it. You'll be too busy living the life you were meant to have. This is the truth, delivered without filters, for the man who is ready to hear it. Your value is non-negotiable. Act accordingly.